This is something that religious do and have been doing for a long time. It helps to give meaning and depth and direction to our lives, guided by the mind and heart of the church and not the mind and heart of the world, which kind of flattens everything out and makes sort of nothing really too great or too serious. Just kind of makes everything blah. And we're not made for blah. We're made for more than blah. Hey, I'm Father Mark Mary with the Franciscan Friars of the Renewal, and this is Ascension Presents. The problem we're trying to solve is that we sort of live a watered down life without a healthy amount of sort of like meaning and direction. There's these three types of days you're going to want to have in basically each week. Maybe not the Easter octave, maybe not the Christmas octave. And the three types of days are this, like a day of feasting, feast day of fasting, a fast day, and then a day of just ongoing fidelity and faithfulness. And the idea behind what I'm talking about, like we see it mirrored in the liturgy. In the liturgy, we have this concept of progressive solemnity. That on kind of like a normal, what we call like ferial day, we're not going to have as much of sort of the solemnity. You might wear simpler vestments. You might preach a little bit shorter. You might have less music. You may not have incense. You may not decorate the altar as much. And then, right, as the feast days go up, you sort of increase the nicer vestments, you increase the preaching, you increase the music, you increase sort of the smells and the bells and the incense, right? Even if you think about like how we enter into some of the more solemn sort of seasons like Lent or Advent, the church even has times where we don't sing the Alleluia, where we don't sing the Gloria. Maybe we cover the different images we have. And all of this is just at the service of kind of how our spiritual lives are really integrated with our humanity. And this variation helps give meaning and direction and help us understand like what's happening, right? And so my proposal is this: as there's, if you will, like a progressive solemnity in the church's liturgical life, I think it's really helpful for us to have something of a progressive solemnity in kind of how we structure and live our normal lives. There are certain days which, like sort of Sundays or great solemnities, should be days of great celebration. These are feast days. And when the church invites us to the feast, like it means it. As I mentioned, what you note a feast day is that it's going to have the sacrifice of celebration. Right, to celebrate something well, to put on a beautiful liturgy, there's practice, there's maybe some more money spent, it's going to take a little bit more time. Some of the sacrifice of celebration that we're thinking of, particularly for Sundays, is there's going to be a sacrifice of efficiency. We're going to step back from work. We're going to make the sacrifice of rest. We're going to go to Mass, and it'll be maybe a little bit longer Mass. It's really great to have sort of a bigger meal, right? And so the sacrifice of maybe spending a little bit more time shopping, preparing, organizing, bringing the family together. And I think this is why, part of why it's a good idea that there's a kind of an appropriate dressing up for Mass. Like the sacrifice, the work of putting on some, like a nicer outfit, some nicer clothes. And all of these things sort of touch on our humanity so that we understand there's something different about this day. And so you don't want to wear to Sunday Mass the same things you would wear to a daily Mass, or the same things you'd wear to the gym or to a sports game. Like it's at the service of sort of the humanity, at the service of sort of our experience with the Lord. So we have Sunday, and like Sunday's this day of resurrection, and if Sunday's just like every other day, like we miss it. It just goes by. And so these are days for maybe eating a little bit sort of sweeter foods, treating yourself, getting a little bit more rest, doing something more fun. But also, like, it is Sunday, but also there's other feast days, you know, throughout the week that we really want to celebrate. And so we want to celebrate the days of our baptism. Did you know that, like, in each diocese, the feast day of your cathedral is a solemnity? We want to know this. We want to celebrate it. The Immaculate Conception, All Saints' Days, all of these, we have to have the sacrifice of celebration. A little bit less work, a little bit more prayer, spending some more time, like celebrating a little bit, feasting a little bit. These are the days where we can have maybe a little bit more sweets, finer foods, etc. The second type of days are these types of days which are kind of the most of our days. These days which are like fidelity days, faithfulness days, the days of the sacrifice of consistency. These are kind of the more ordinary days. And I think it's really healthy that our ordinary days, like, they're not the same as feast days. So for example, like in the friary, and I'm not saying you have to do this, we wouldn't serve beer or wine in the friary. We wouldn't have like sweets in the friary except on feast days. So on an ordinary day, you're still eating a normal amount. It's not a fast day, but it's also not a feast day. And so, like, what this looks like for you could be a lot of things. It could be that on normal days, if you will, if you like to go buy your coffee somewhere, like normal days are the days you brew it at home. These might be days where, again, like maybe you don't always serve dessert with your meal. Maybe you like to have a cookie with your coffee in the morning. Maybe this is a day you don't have a cookie with your coffee. Could be a day of maybe more restricted screen time, more restricted entertainments. We want something of like our ordinary days to be a step down from the feast days and a step down from the solemnities. And why is this? I think because it has a healthy level of discipline, a healthy level of consistency, a healthy level of faithfulness. But also, like, again, if we live every single day as a feast day, when Easter comes, when Sunday comes, when your feast days come, etc., like it's hard for us to celebrate it differently. And it is something in the friary that's really healthy and really helpful when like there is something different and more fun and more celebratory about the feast day. And again, I think this is mirrored in our progressive solemnity that we do with the liturgy, and it's just a healthy approach of our humanity. And it also helps to just, again, sort of give meaning and depth to our week. And then the last one would be these days of what I'm calling fast days, and I'm using that kind of loosely, mostly just because it has an F in it and it rhymes with faithfulness and feast days, you know. But these are the sort of the days of some sort of privation or some sort of abstinence. I think Friday, you know, is a good place for this. And again, you don't do this on the octave of Christmas or Easter, but we want there to be some sort of privation on Friday and other probably Lenten, you know, days that is different than our normal faithfulness days. Certainly abstaining from meat is a classic practice. Maybe you get a little bit less dressed up. Maybe, you know, these are the days, you know, you still wear deodorant, still take a shower, but maybe this is the day you don't wear cologne or perfume. Maybe these are days of limited to no screen time or no entertainment or less entertainment. I think definitely these would be great days to not drink beer or wine or alcohol. I think these would be great days to not have desserts. And again, just because Fridays are these days in which we remember the Lord's passion, and it's healthy for us to remember that in an incarnational way, with some sort of privation. And for us, it's like Fridays and Lenten days is a day of sort of the church fast. And I'm not proposing that because that's just too complicated, or especially with each person and our own relationships with food. But I think there's space again for like, where is there extra sugar in our life? Sort of these extra sort of natural consolations, which again can be found in entertainment, again can be found in sort of like sugar and sweets. In snacking, maybe we don't snack on these privation days, these sort of, if you will, fast days. But all of this, right, all of this collectively, like it helps us like understand what's happening. It helps us enter into Friday. It helps us that Friday is something different. It really helps us when we go to celebrate and to feast that there's something different about it. And then it allows us sort of in the day-to-day to practice the ongoing faithfulness and fidelity. We're made for the full human experience, life in abundance, which includes the feasting, the fidelity, and in appropriate times, a healthy privation, abstinence, discipline, sacrifice, even fasting. So hopefully that was helpful, and I feel it pretty deeply, to be honest, and I think it's really important. And I know it'd be nice if I just sort of gave this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do, but I'm gonna kind of hand this over to your own sort of discernment and creativity. You can maybe let us know what you do just to sort of share like how you celebrate these different things. But anyway, thanks for watching. Good to be with you again. We'll see you again next week. Remember, we are pilgrims on this earth. Somos peregrinos poco a poco. Vamos a llegar. We're gonna make it. God bless you.